I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. That is an extract of the Gospel of Matthew, the 19th verse of the 16th chapter, to be precise. Following what we discussed in the previous video, the first chapter of this mini course, I was going to give you the keys of a Formula 1 racing car, but if we're talking about keys, what better than the keys to Christian heaven itself? That's probably too big of a gift to give away, and I don't have them with me at the moment. Sorry to disappoint, but I also don't have the keys to an F1 racing car for that matter. However, I do have these keys. And good news is that you have them too, right in front of you. I'm going to show you how to use them properly in Excel for the remainder of the video. Okay, these keys might not give you access to the kingdom of heaven, but they can still open some doors. That is, if you're recruiting for a career in finance. Fair warning though, this might not be something new, or at least not entirely new. You have been using and playing around with your keyboard for a while now, and this is probably something that you already know. But there might be a few combinations that can spice up your life. As the American professor Carl Edward Weik said on the topic of creativity, innovation stems from putting old things in new combinations and new things in old combinations. So, we're about to put old things like the keyboards in your keyboard in new combinations. Buckle up as we define the laws of physics and travel faster than light. Well, maybe not. This second chapter of the productivity mini course is the navigation masterclass that you didn't know you needed. Well, maybe masterclass is a bit of an oversell, but hear me out. I'm going to show you the top 3 ways that you can navigate your Excel workbook using just your keyboard. That's right, no mouse needed. These tricks will not only allow you to flex your spreadsheet wizardry skills with your colleagues and endow you with the ultimate icebreaker topic for parties, they will also give you back so much of your precious time in your life. And with all these extra seconds in your life that you gain, you will be able to work in all those important extracurricular activities that will pad your resume and will finally land you your long coveted promotion. You know, the one that guarantees you more work, less sleep, and the dream of going to bed at 2 a.m. instead of your usual midnight. Productivity nirvana. Amen. One tiny warning though is that this topic will be applicable and specific to Windows machines, as not all the keys or the combinations will be directly translated to a Mac. So sorry for that, my Apple friends. For the remainder of the video, we'll be talking about your Ctrl key and how it can be combined with your arrows with home, nth, page up, page down, and finally, we will throw in the Shift key into the cauldron to create a special potion that will make Professor Snape very proud of us. Let's begin. And the first thing I want to talk about is the arrows. So the arrows are perhaps the most important key whenever you're talking about Excel, because they're going to allow you to move to the right, to move down or up, and obviously to the left. Now, arrows on their own are not as good, honestly. Because if I just hit on arrow to the right and then just keep it on there, it's going to take me a while for me to move to the very end, for example, or same with down. It actually progresses very slowly. So they're very useful and critical, but they're not the best of the best. Now, how do you improve arrows? As we mentioned, the Control key is really what's going to open the doors for you. This is what's going to take your productivity to the next level. So for our first demonstration, let's have just this sort of square of ones arbitrarily put. Now, if I want to travel to B2, I can click with the mouse and then the same for W and the same for down. You get the point. But what if I want to travel with my arrows? Right? You normally do like this? Yeah, I don't recommend that. If you hit Control first, and then you hit on arrow to the top, just once, or to the right, or down, or left, what your interface is going to do on your selection, whenever you hit Control, Excel is going to move to the next available cell that has content. So if I'm here on B2, and then hit on Control left, in this case, it's going to go all the way to the left till one of two things happen. You hit the next cell with content. So in this case, imagine my one was here, or let's just use the one that we already have on W2. I go to the left, and then I reached the cell that has content. And if I hit again, I'm just gonna go to the very leftmost column, which in this case is column A. So in the same analogous way, if I hit Ctrl right, I'm gonna go to W because that's the one that has the next available value filled up. And if I hit Ctrl right again, what happens? I go to the very last column, XFD. You probably didn't know that it existed, or you probably had just heard about it as a myth, because, you know, who takes all the time in the world to go manually look for it, right? I mean, you could, and I could go on forever, right, with your patience. But hey, I'm not gonna torture you. So Ctrl left, I go back to W, Ctrl left again, go to B, Ctrl left again, to A. And now you know what happens when I hit Ctrl down. Obviously, I go to B41. What happens if I hit Ctrl down again? Yep, all the way to row 1,048,576, which is the limit of Excel. So if I hit Ctrl down right, yep, this is the very end of your Excel. It does have a limit. And Ctrl left up, A1. So very quickly, I just navigated to the very end and to the very beginning of my entire workbook. Now, one thing, I didn't have anything in between these two cells. But what happens if I start adding, for example, numbers here, and then a number here, and then a number here, and then I go to the beginning? What Excel is gonna do whenever you have cells that are right next to each other and they do have content is that if I hit Ctrl right, Excel is going to go to the nth of that selection. So you can see that it skipped columns C, D, and E and went straight to F. If I hit Ctrl left, it's going to go straight to B. So I can just play with this and go to the beginning and to the end of the sequence. If I hit Ctrl right again, it's going to go to V now. Ctrl right again, it's going to go to X. Ctrl left, V. Ctrl left, F. All right, so you see how it works. If I didn't have anything here on V, and then I was on B and then did Ctrl right, it's gonna go to C. So not very useful because it was only one, but hey, it's doing its best. So now again, it's gonna go to E, to F, and then all the way to V, and then to X. You see how it works, right? The same thing happens if I start doing values downward or upwards, right? So if I'm here and then I hit Ctrl up, I'm gonna go row 36 and then 20, back to 36 because I clicked down. And then which row I'm gonna go? Exactly, 16, and then now 7, and then at the beginning on 2. If I have interrupted the sequence and then I hit Ctrl down, it's only gonna go down 1. Trust me, I'm clicking Ctrl. I'm not just clicking the arrow to the top and down. And the reason is, as I explained, because Excel is gonna go all the way till the next available space whenever you have cells that are continuous to each other and have values. So here you have no value between row 3 and 5. So I'm gonna skip 4 whenever I hit Ctrl down. Then I'm gonna go 3 down with Ctrl, and then I'm skipping all that selection with empty cells and going straight to 16. So you now get it. Ctrl up, down, and Ctrl right, left will save you tons of times. All kinds of times, till the end of times, till the end of columns, XFD, till the end of rows. Again, 1,048,576, in case you were wondering. All right, so that was arrows. Now, the next topic I want to talk about is the home and nth keys. Now, whenever you have something in Excel, and you click on Control Home, you're gonna go straight to cell A1. So Control Home, I'm on AG 101, hit Control Home, and there I go, cell A1. So it doesn't really matter which cell I'm on. It could be on the very bottom. I hit Control Home, and I'm gonna go all the way up, all the way left. Now Control Nth does a little interesting thing, because when I hit Control Nth, it's gonna position me in a combination of two things. It's gonna position me on the rightmost column that has any value, and on the bottommost row that also has any value. In this case, the combination was x41. And for example, if I had something, let's say here, on AO76, and then I hit Ctrl End again, I'm now positioned on AO76. But if I add something, for example, on AQ, and then something on 81, let's type it actually, well, here, yeah, here and here, right? Now my rightmost content is on AQ, and on my bottommost content on 81. From the top, after clicking Ctrl Home, I go to Ctrl Nth, and now I'm there, AQ 81. So that's a very quick and easy way to travel to the beginning or to the end of your current worksheet. And it's also a practical way to check whenever you have probably formulas or something else that you left unintendedly, and you just want to make sure that your worksheet or your model ends where you think it ends. So it's also practical for you to check your work. Now, that might not have been very useful, and probably you already knew about or you won't use it as much, but let's check now what page up and page down does. So for my next trick, I'm gonna just add 3 more worksheets. And by the way, it says sheet 5, 6, 7, 8 instead of 2, 3, 4, because I already have created some sheets that I deleted. But anyways, I'm just gonna add here worksheet 1, and then I'm gonna go to the next one, and here worksheet 2, and then here randomly worksheet 3. I'm probably cheating because I'm not using the exact same names, because this is gonna be 4 instead of 7, but who cares? And now this one, 5. Okay, so now I have worksheets 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now if I hit on my keys page down without control, this just basically starts going about in the document, downwards and upwards. And the jump that you see is a defined section, right? You can see that here it goes from row 1 to 45, and then whenever I hit page down, it now starts on 46 and ends on 90. Again, 91, 135, 136, and so on, right? So it has a fixed size by which it skips. So that's already practical on its own, because instead of doing this, right, manually, you don't know where it's gonna end. Or imagine if you have a list that it's very choppy, so it's interrupted. So you have something like this. So the first trick that we learned, it's not gonna be perfectly useful, because it's, if I start doing it, I mean, if I keep just holding the key, it's gonna be quick. But if I do it like manually, like this, if I'm searching for a value, it's probably gonna be taking a while. Versus if I use the page down, it already helps me navigate probably better than what I was doing before. But if you combine control with page down, oh, you change worksheets to the right. And then when you do page up, you do the same to the left. So that is my favorite way of changing worksheets, because you don't have to go with your mouse and then click here, and then what if you mess up and then whoops, you moved it around and then you didn't want to do that. And I don't think there's any undo for that. Yeah, you cannot undo that. So you have to come back and then you say, oh my God, I just wasted more time of my life. But now that you have the control, page down and page up, it's very easy to navigate now. Nice. Okay, so one final thing that I want to talk about with the control key of heaven. So if I have imagine, let's just create this. And you'll indulge me while I create this. All right. Now, if you want to select the entire thing, while you have Control selected, you can also throw in the Shift key. And now see what happens when I do Ctrl Shift right. Oh, and Ctrl Shift down. Nice. So you can not only move around, but you can also select things very easy and very fast with your Shift key. Now, it's not just for selection, which you might argue, well, that's already pretty good enough. Well, the magic doesn't stop there, because imagine that you have a formula here where you say sum, for example, the entire row, which, by the way, you now know better. You don't have to do this, right, with every single individual arrow. You can just say Control Shift, Control Shift, and then arrow to the left, sorry. You can just say Control Shift, arrow to the left, and then have all the selection selected at once. And then you can close your parenthesis and then enter, and boom, now you have your formula. But you don't have to do this. You don't have to copy and then come here and then paste like, the elementary school kid you're not anymore. You can do what pros do. And then you can select with Shift and then hit Control and down, or D, Control D, and now you got it. Now your selection was copied. Every single formula was now copied. What happens if I do the same thing with this? For example, if I select the entire row and I do Control D, you can see that the number 5 was copied because that was what the content of the cells on top were. And now these formula, even though obviously the value is the same, you can see that the formula is actually updated to match the corresponding rows. So that's how very quickly, for example, imagine you have a very big table in Excel, like your client or another department, right? Your friend Josh sent you a file that had a lot of information, and then you want to calculate some value at the row level. Well, you just need to input your formula at the very top, and then to navigate downwards, you just need to go with Control down. Once you're at the very bottom, you just go one right, and then you hit Shift and Control together with your arrow up. And once you have everything selected, you just hit Control down. And the magic is that it's not just working with one single row or cell, in this case column. So if I do, for example, this plus this minus this, and then, for example, I'd say, well, everything, I want it to be elevated to the power of whatever I have here, right? For example, that's a weird formula, but whatever. So I do that, and then for this next trick, for example, I do some, whoops. By the way, whenever you have a selection here, you can just hit on tab, and there you go. Another tip. You didn't expect that one, but there you go. Right, so imagine you have selected these two, and then you divide by the selection of these two, and then you, for whatever reason, multiply by, oh, I already ran out of options. There you go. Let's do that. And then imagine you just do the average of these last 3 formulas that you did. And so this is how you receive your data from your friend Josh. These are the formulas that you added, and then once and for all, you select your entire columns, M through P, that you added. You hit Shift Control to the top and then Control down. And there you go, the formulas are updated automatically. Now, not only Control down works, but also Control right. So imagine that I have now not this table, but imagine that I have something like this. And I want to do something like, okay, I want to do sum of my first column, and I just want to do the same for S and T. I just have to do selection with Shift, Control right, or Control R, and there you go. Now, obviously, I messed up because this has the exact same value, so you didn't see any changes. But you can now see that it actually has the formulas column R, column S, column T, because I did Ctrl R. So there you go. You now have the power of moving lightning fast in your worksheet, across worksheets, and now with the Ctrl and Shift together with D and R, you can also copy formulas quite fast. Congratulations, your navigation skills in Excel are now off the charts. You can kiss that external mouse goodbye and save up so much space in that backpack of yours for what's really important, like that book that you will never ever have time to read because you still have so much work to do. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and stick around for the final part of this productivity mini course, and I will give you the keys to your freedom. I hope that by now you're used to these big promises that I have no intention of keeping. Until next time, stay productive, stay awesome.